All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's, the week of 24th June, 2022, Node.js API meeting. Does anyone have any announcements they would like to get made? Does anyone have any announcements they would like to make before we get started? All right, then let me share my screen and we can get started. All right. So we'll go through our normal agenda, going through the milestones and the issues that have been brought up on the repos that we have. So the first one we have is drive towards full coverage. I don't think Jack joined. Let's see if there's been any polls made. Right, there's still this one that while we have some time, let's go through this one real quick. So this is testing the new target. So we add a function, new target callback. Returns the new target. I'm not exactly sure. So calling this function is supposed to return the target. I'm not exactly sure how returning the actual target is supposed to equal the function. It's as if it's, yeah, I'll have to do some looking, a little further look into this then. I'm not exactly sure how this is working correctly. So let's move on. There's no additional PRs for testing. So let us continue. Then we have stale issues. Let's see if anything's been added. This is the one for the proxy example that
Yes,
you were
no
working
progress on my side.
Okay, no worries. And let us move on. That's the only one on the list, so we can continue. Tracking modules that are ported. Don't think anything new has been added to this issue, so we can just look at, like we always do, the installations. Still around the 7.6 million. All right, I mean, that looks fine to me. We can move on. Then we have issues in the repo. Does anyone have any issues that they would like to discuss before we just look at all of the issues? Okay.
Yeah, there is a one that is listed in the core repo. And the number is, just wait a minute. The number is for 3542. 3542.
42.
It's 42, yeah.
Is it a PR issue?
Yeah, it's a pull request.
Okay.
This person submitted a PR to extend the Node API to embedders. But as you see, Anna has already requested a change on the PR, as she states that embedders usually requires more fine grain control on the, like say, the JavaScript engine or the Node.js setup parameters. So Node API probably won't fit in the situation. So you, like say, in this specific case, the person has stated that Node API can fit in the simple embedding case, but like said, if the embedder goes far beyond the simple case, then they will eventually need to get in touch with the V8 API or Node.js plain C++ API, which is not API stable. So they will eventually go beyond the Node API, what Node API could provide. So that's what I can see in this PR. So, but I do see there is a this is a long-standing request for embedding Node.js with a simpler, like say, with Node API. You can see that there is a issue created years ago. The issue number is 232 and 65. Yeah, 232, 65 issues. Yeah, at S.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, right. The feature request is a long-standing. You can see it's already 4 years ago. But no one is working since the point I have just stated. People who need to embedding Node.js into their application will eventually need to get final grained control on the how V8 behaves. So we didn't come up with a API stable way to provide such API service to in Node API so far.
Right.
So
okay.
that's a very simple summary of this new pull request.
Now,
also I have some ideas about, like say, if Vladimir is interested in this area, since if we do want to expose embedded APIs, we have to make sure this embedded APIs is also interested to, let's say, it's useful to other engines embedders, so that we can make the API compatible with other engines, like say Hermes. I don't have any knowledge on Hermes, so Vladimir if Vladimir is interested in the area, I think he can comment here.
Yeah, I'll have a look at this change. As for Hermes, they have totally different set of properties. I doubt it's possible to have a common API to create environment for all possible engines. Because Hermes has its own set of settings and stuff.
right.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest concern of this feature. You can see this API is adding a pair of Node API, which is named as, like say, Node API platform, and which is specific to V8, since V8 has a component named V8 platform, which is responsible, which is responsible for platform specific, like say thread pool and I'm not sure if Hermes have such components in their design, but I can see this is specific to V8. It's like other simple engines like sorry, I just didn't come up with the name. I have difficulties come up with the name, but I can see that this component is specific to V8. So I doubt that this will adapt into other engines.
I agree with you, because all these concepts what I see here, they're very specific to V8. On Hermes, there is nothing like this command line parameters or something like this.
Yeah, especially about the command line, you can see that Node.js will reject unrecognizable command line. So when you type in the command line and type in some flags that Node.js is unrecognizable, Node.js will exit and complaining about the unrecognizable command line. So if people are hard coding command line in the embedding application, that while the command line is not guaranteed to be ABI stable, then I believe there will be some problems on although it looks like ABI stable, but it is not actually consistent across various versions. Yeah,
Right.
that's the point I can see on this PR.
Yeah, I agree with you. If we want to have something like this, it should be node specific or V8 specific.
Right. So I had a question regarding I think there was like, is there a way to currently embed Node into your application?
Yeah, you can directly use the Node.h and V8.h to embed. That's it to say you can directly use Node's C++ API and V8 C++ API, and you have to take care of their API behavior changes since they are evolving projects. So there is no API guarantees on the API service.
Gotcha. So basically you would end up doing something similar to what this PR is introducing, such as creating a platform.
Yeah, right.
Okay, all right. And then since we're thinking that, yeah, because so you would end up doing this directly within your application instead. Okay, that makes sense then. And then we have concerns, firstly, because people that are embedding may need to use more specific control over the V8 startup, and also that we do not have, like, these concepts may not extend towards other engines. Those are the two main concerns that I'm hearing. Is that correct?
Yeah, right.
All right. So we can make a comment on this PR then.
I believe we can still reference the document Michael has previously created in the Node.js repo, which is said that we have to make Node API engines agnostic.
Right. Okay. Isn't that an ABI stable node?
I will post in the chat.
Okay.
Yeah, here you go.
Ah, this one. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead here. We discussed this PR in before June. Our main concerns are one, as people who are embedding Node into their application may require specific fine-grained startup and configuration of the engine. We fear that creating any Node API wrapper around engine initialization would bypass the ability to modify the engine startup properties as necessary. Furthermore, if there were engine specific configurations, they may not extend to other engines. These concepts, yeah, okay. And then number two, other engines, this PR creates V8 has creates specific objects like the platform used, like the platform. Let's just say like this. Other engines Hermes does not have these concepts, and it may be, let's see, incorrect to label these methods as these types as such, I suppose. Additions to Node API must be agnostic. And then we have, yes, this document, okay. And this.
So technically speaking, maybe there is a value to have such API, safe APIs for libnode, but they should be probably like go to different header. Like it should be really saying this is a node API. Like it's not yeah, kind of.
I see
like,
what you're saying.
JavaScript native. What we want to have to keep engine agnostic, right?
Right. So it would be some sort of adding a concept of, I don't want to say Node API because that's what we're calling our stuff, but it's APIs that are specific to Node, not ones that need to be engine agnostic. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Because I think it was main goal of this PR to introduce such concepts, because currently it's only possible to use C++, but imagine I have application written in .NET and C#. I can't use any C++ based API, but I could use the C based functions. The same can be maybe like Objective-C application.
For embedding like engines like V8 into other languages like Rust, we may have like say language specific wrappers like Rust V8, which is contributed by Dino team. So they can manipulate V8 specific concepts in Rust language. So I feel that's another level of such API in Node.js.
I see. Okay. So we can note that sort of, let's see, as of now, APIs that are Node engine specific. Okay. Because the Node API meant to be engine agnostic. Okay. It may be of interest to create but I almost feel that like if we were to create some sort of Node specific API, it would end up being equivalent to these. Like, if we go to his changes here and go to the implementation of create platform, let's see. Like would this be considered the Node specific APIs, you know, sort of what?
Yeah, it's already specific to Node.
Right. And then we just don't have any like versioning requirements on
Actually, it does have versioning, since Node.js can include a Node version, and there is a version macro in the header file, so people can. But you see, in one specific header file, there is just one version. Since you can just link to one version of Node, you cannot link to various versions of Node.
I see. Okay.
At one time.
Right. Okay. And then, I mean, I'm looking at this change, and then, yeah, we do have some calls to our Node APIs here, but it still also uses some V8 specifics, like this V8 initialize platform. I'm wondering if there would be a benefit to sort of wrapping all of this up for, like, if we, because right now this is he's trying to add this to our Node API. I'm wondering if it would be beneficial to wrap this functionality inside of something that is in this Node namespace instead. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
If we're using namespace and we're talking about like C++ based API, I think there is a benefit to introduce C-based API. So in this case, this DLL can be used from any language which can interop with C.
Right.
Plus, we can make it API safe. It's definitely kind of not part of this Node API surface, not specifically with JS native API.h file, but maybe it can be kind of housed in different header file, which will be dedicated to creating this existing Node environment, and still provides, instead of C++ based API, provides C-based API, which what this PR is about mostly.
I see. Okay. Okay, because I know it is the existing node specific example. Let's see, what did we call it here? Node, this one here. Copy this. Are available within C++ language, but not in an ABI stable C language, sure. Okay, so it may be beneficial to create some specific some APIs that are outside of the Node API scope, but are still C-based and provide API stability in order to perform this embedding scenario where we can ignore platform agnostic requirement.
Should we explicitly say like what we mean here, like have different header file?
Yeah, okay.
So people don't need to read between the lines.
Yes. Yes. All right. How does this look? All right. I will go ahead and make this comment.
Yeah, looks good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's great that people this person is working with APIs. It's something like many developers want to have, and he's making some steps.
Yeah, especially if this issue is, over 4 years old. It's actually embedding Node was actually how I came into this Node API project, because I was working on a little toy project that was embedding Node, and it is a very wanted use case, definitely. But we'll need to make sure that we can make it in such a way that is, useful to everyone.
Right.
All right. Are there any other issues or PRs people would like to talk about before we just go through the list? I have been working a little on this segmentation fault one. The original poster messaged that he's getting a new type of stack trace issue where I have not been able to replicate this issue, but I'm not even sure how this is possible. So inside the thread safe function, it calls the this is not the typed thread safe function implementation. This is the one where you can pass a function callback to every call JS method. And this call JS method, what he has is he is calling this this feed function here, and he checks first that if this feed is not a function, then throw an error. So then obviously this feed is a function, right? And then he's calling this feed function here. And the error that he is getting is apparently the type of the feed function is actually an object, even though he does the type checking above. So I kind of put the bits and pieces that are applicable here. So checking that it's a function, and then setting it to a persistent reference, and then trying to call it. Does anyone have any idea how this could end up happening? Like, this just seemed really odd to me, that he's doing the type checking and then, setting the persistent reference, but it's not the right type afterwards. And if we do have no idea with this, and should he end up creating another issue to try to solve this one?
So when he checks a type of the variable, like what's
so he's using
he's throwing exception. So is it like if we compile it without supporting exceptions, I don't know, just curious, and maybe this check does nothing in his code, just passes through.
Oh, I see. Okay. So you're thinking for some reason, if this exception is thrown, it may be swallowed somewhere?
This what I may suspect. Maybe at some level, this kind of does nothing, this exception. So
okay.
after that, the whole state maybe, because it's possible from C++ throw from constructor, maybe object not completely constructed. I don't know. It's just some kind of trying to invent something right now.
Right. I mean, because it's a really weird issue, so who knows? But if that were the case, like if this was being swallowed somewhere, then then this feed member variable would be empty, right? Instead of just being an actual value with an object, because even if it is swallowed somewhere, the execution of this constructor should stop, right? If this exception is thrown. It's not like it can be thrown here and then you just continue the execution. Correct.
Yes, you're right. Is there any other place this variable been assigned?
No, it is just in this constructor here. And I've tried to replicate it myself, and I've not been able to replicate it. So I really don't know what's going on with this one.
The question, like, do we have like the full source? Do we see like the full source code, or this maybe just kind of part of source code where we don't see?
He did provide a branch, and then this is the one that we've been working on in order to troubleshoot the original issue that he posted, which is saying that once he goes with over 1 million async wrappers and whatnot, that he's getting this sort of failures with creating handles. And from my investigations, I've been able to, like, I can replicate it, or at least replicating crashes. They crash at different locations. And it's really tricky because he's doing, async programming. So it's hard. You really can't get a run that is the same all the time, So basically what I've been doing is just, after several runs, it's broken, it boils down to these three different stack trace failures.
To me, it sounds like we have some classical data corruption stuff. There is something which we may actually, it almost sounds like there is an issue inside of V8 engine to me. Then we're trying to create too many objects. Maybe there's somewhere like wrong condition. And instead of kind of reporting this, that we out of resource or stuff, we start and override them at some point.
Right. That's what I think Michael had mentioned in an earlier meeting, that there may be some sort of memory corruption with the heap growing, or this, heap and stack stuff, and then being corrupted that way. So
the problem has to reproduce with the whole branch. That is to say, the whole add-on, there is no minimum reproducible case, right?
Right.
Well, I may find some time to dig into it, but you can see I didn't have much time in the past few weeks. So I will try, maybe I can try to dig into it in the next few weekends.
Okay. There is one thing that I had asked, because in all of the stack traces that I have replicated, he does have a call.js creating a new thread safe function, which I think is really odd. Like, I don't know why you would have an existing thread safe function create a new one. So I'm wondering if there may be some issues where he's not freeing these thread safe functions, or releasing these thread safe functions somehow. So that's what I had also asked in the bottom of here. If, like, how is that path possible within his code base? And maybe we can get a little bit of clarification on that. But this branch that he has does have that problem, and I can, he gives you these commands here to replicate those crashes. So if you do have some time in the next couple of weeks also to take a look at this, that would be great, because I am really at a loss to say the least.
Yeah, I'll try my best.
Okay. Then let's see. There was another issue that was brought up. This one here. Async progress worker does not compile with this option. And I think this is specific to our test classes. And he says it's because classes derived from the queue worker must add using async worker execute, such as like right here. and right here and right here. So it's a very simple fix, and it's specific to our test classes. So I don't think it'd be too major of a change. But I just had asked the original poster if they are interested in submitting a PR. And if not, if we don't hear back from them, in a week or two, maybe we can just go ahead and make those changes on their behalf. Then Nick has been working with this poster. There's some confusions of when to use Node API module versus Node API add-on. And basically he says that using the Node API add-on is when you extend a subclass of the add-on that we have. And let's see. I did see this final post here. I think it would be a little more beneficial if we could see the full full code he's using, because he's got some check of the main thread. So there must be some way that he's instantiating this add-on in different threads. Guess he's using worker threads shared by the add-on instance. Okay. And he's questioning why he's getting multiple initializations, it looks like. So I think we can probably, when was this created? Okay, Nick, well, this was 8 days ago. I think, let's see. Nick may be, oh, he's not on the call today, but Nick may be able to continue helping with this specific issue here. Let me ask if he has some reproducible.
Actually, you see the G underscore message. It's the one who produces this output, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it's odd that he's getting I don't know how he's performing this initialization.
Oh, you mean like how exactly he uses this Node API add-on macro? Is it?
Right, because he's saying that instead of 3 add-on instances, there are 8. So I'm wondering, like, how is he even supposed to? How is he creating these 3 instances?
Right.
I think it's a little, and he's talking about worker threads. So I think it would be helpful to have a small little reproduction repo that we could take a look at, because I don't.
Is there anything above, like for the full repro?
No, he just points to our examples repo because he has some questions about these two. And I think all of our examples use Node add-on or Node API module, unless, I mean, maybe we don't have. Yeah, I guess we don't have an example that extends that add-on, this add-on T. It may be beneficial then to create one of those examples. So let me then say those 2 things. any, do you have a repo that can reproduce this issue? We are unsure of. We mentioned utilizing and then let me just double check that we don't have in this repository. Nope. And it would show up under code. Yeah, this is just the commits. Nope. Okay. Node add-on API examples. Wasn't that what it was called? Node add-on examples. Okay. An example that uses this method of initialization of add-on registration. So I'll just create an issue on this repository, just so that we can keep track of it. Add example that uses that all of our examples use Node. No, what it's called, Node API module. Register native add-ons. Add an example and uses okay. Now we can just create, it's my first issue. We'll submit this one. I guess we can. We'll submit this issue and then we'll make a comment here. Okay, I'll just put that there. All right, but we do have a test for this. We definitely have a test for this. I mean, I think it's in here. No, I thought this add-on build was using that. Let me do a quick search in our code base here as well. I guess not. We do not have an example using that either. All right, well, we created that issue, and we can keep track of it here then. So we are almost out of time. Let's see what the other things in the milestones are. This was something that was brought up a couple of weeks ago to try to create better not documentation, but a little better and I also don't want to specifically say YouTube videos, but to promote the use of Node API in order to get better, I don't know the word that I'm looking for, promoting the use so that people can see that it exists versus having to create add-ons using NAN or the V8 APIs directly. And I don't think there has been any additions. So this was
we need to plan how we address it, because
yeah,
obviously people in our group right now, I don't know how much we can contribute to it, but I guess I think one of the best approaches to have people who have some YouTube channels, popular YouTube channels, who teach how to do Node modules, ask them to provide such examples. So I think it's
I like that idea. Better. Let's write that idea down here so that we don't, so that we can keep track of that one.
Because people evangelizing Node, evangelizing how to do all these extensions, but often they may not use Node API, and it will be.
Let's find some bloggers that are interested in, because I don't have any like social media presence like that on Twitch or YouTube or anything like that. But if we could find people that already do, that would be interested in, that would be helpful.
Maybe just find people who still producing videos about using none and using other stuff, and kind of form a Node API and ask them, could they also produce video about Node API?
Okay.
So maybe like. Right.
Okay. I like that. Okay, and then the final issue, add lists. So I guess this was something that was discussed last week. I was not here in last week's call, but let's see, add list of non-C language bindings to Node.js doc. There are a few non-C language bindings, I guess, like Rust was mentioned earlier today. Would be helpful to have this list. This is what we think makes sense, where makes sense. And then here's the bindings that Nick has brought out. Okay. I'll just go ahead and thumbs up that. And then maybe once Michael takes a look, we may end up adding it to that document here. This overall Node API documentation.
Yeah, because scenario here, like some people want to have some extensions written in other language, and instead of them to search for different places, they can find it in right there in one single place.
It'd be very helpful to have it in some sort of central location with a list of all of the different wrappers for a Node API.
And if someone produces new bindings, they can just simply submit pull request with documentation, add their link there.
Right. All right. Well, then that is it for this week's meeting. Does anyone have anything else they would like to quickly discuss before we sign off for the week?
No.
All right. Then that's it. And I will catch you guys online and